Greetings world, we are anonymous. We are making this video as an important announcement. The UK Conservative government has plans to create a new internet that would be heavily controlled and regulated. Theresa May is planning to introduce these huge changes on the way the internet works, allowing the government to decide what is said online. A focus has been drawn to the end of the manifesto, which makes it clear that the Tories want to introduce huge changes to the way the internet works. The following quote is taken from the manifesto. Some people say that it is not for government to regulate when it comes to technology and the internet. It states, "We disagree." Senior Tories confirmed to BuzzFeed News that the phrasing indicated that the government intends to introduce huge restrictions on what people can post, share and publish online. The plans will allow Britain to become the global leader in the regulation of the use of personal data and the internet, the manifesto claims. It comes just soon after the Investigatory Powers Act came into law. That legislation allowed the government to force internet companies to keep records on their customers' browsing histories, as well as giving ministers the power to break apps like WhatsApp so that messages can be read. The manifesto references those increased powers, saying that the government will work even harder to ensure there is no safe space for terrorists to be able to communicate online. That is apparently a reference in part to its work to encourage technology companies to build backdoors into their encrypted messaging services, which gives the government the ability to read terrorists' messages, but also weakens the security of everyone else's messages. Technology companies have warned, this has placed Britain under some of the widest-ranging spying powers ever seen. The Investigatory Powers Act is intended as an update to Britain's often unwieldy surveillance legislation. But it also includes a large set of new powers, including the ability to collect the browsing records of everyone in the country and have them read by authorities as diverse as the Food Standards Agency and the Department for Work and Pensions. Most of the central parts of the Act are now in force. That includes new powers to gather and retain data on citizens, and new ways to force technology companies and others to hand over the data that they have about people to intelligence agencies. Many of the most invasive powers in the bill haven't yet gone into force. That includes, for instance, the collection of those internet connection records, which has been postponed until the government and internet companies have worked out how they can collect such information safely. The government has argued that the powers introduced in the bill are necessary to allow intelligence agencies and police to stop modern crime and prosecute the people involved in it. Although the UK government has ensured that plans will be in place so police and other public authorities can continue to acquire such data in a way that is consistent with EU law and their obligation to protect the public, we are still wary of the things that could go wrong with this law. For example, one wrong accidental leak or hack and innocent members of the public's data could be easily accessible to anyone with an internet connection. The law had been opposed by tens of thousands of people in a public petition. But much of that opposition only started after the bill was quietly passed into law by MPs, which meant it was unlikely to have any effect. The government now appears to be launching a similarly radical change in the way that social networks and internet companies work. While much of the internet is currently controlled by private businesses like Google and Facebook, Theresa May intends to allow the government to decide what is and isn't published. The manifesto suggests, it should be as unacceptable to bully online as it is in the playground, as difficult to groom a young child on the internet as it is in a community, as hard for children to access violent and degrading pornography online as it is in the high street, and as difficult to commit a crime digitally as it is physically. Even though we truly condemn pedophilia and would like it banished from the internet, a lot is already being done about it. For example, a child pornography website known as The Playpen recently had 900 of their members arrested along with the site's founder Stephen W. Chase, who was sentenced to 30 years. This site was said to be the biggest of its kind, boasting over 150,000 users worldwide. Pedophiles are also constantly being exposed by internet vigilantes who pose as young children to lure the pedophiles out in the public, so they can easily be identified then arrested. Even well-known YouTubers have been exposed for being pedophiles with valid evidence. We know there's always more that can be done, but spying on innocent people isn't the way to do it. The Conservatives will also seek to regulate the kind of news that is posted online and how companies are paid for it. If elected, Theresa May will take steps to protect the reliability and objectivity of information that is essential to our democracy. and crack down on Facebook and Google to ensure that news companies get enough advertising money. If internet companies refuse to comply with the rulings, a suggestion that some have already made about the powers in the Investigatory Powers Act, then there will be a strict and strong set of ways to punish them. We will introduce a sanctions regime to ensure compliance, giving regulators the ability to fine or prosecute those companies that fail in their legal duties, and to order the removal of content where it clearly breaches UK law. The manifesto reads, in laying out its plan for increased regulation, the Tories anticipate and reject potential criticism that such rules could put people at risk. They believe it is for the government, not private companies, to protect the security of people and ensure the fairness of the rules by which people and businesses abide. Nor do they agree that the risks of such an approach outweigh the potential benefits. We are against the UK government forcing strict privacy laws onto their citizens and would encourage everyone to get in contact with Open Rights Group, which is the UK's only digital campaigning organisation working to protect the rights to privacy and free speech online. We have provided a link in the video description where you can directly contact them from their website form. If you know of any other good organizations that advocate for the rights to privacy and free speech online, then let us know in the comments section, and we'll be sure to compile a list of them. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.